Thank you for inviting us into your homes. This is really wonderful to be with all of you for this beautiful celebration. It's been 5 years since we had the privilege of having people look inside Date with Destiny. And it was an incredible experience. And so we decided it would be beautiful to kind of give you an update and give you an exposure and just kind of celebrate the date half a decade later. The event was actually December of 2014, but it takes a year to put things together, and then it has to be sold to a studio. Netflix bought it, won some nice awards. It was just really a beautiful period. But we thought it would be nice to have you meet the man who created it, give you some behind the scenes on that, and then maybe give you an update on some of these people 5 years after the film, but 7 years later. And let's get started. I'd like to first start, well, before I start, I'm doing all the talking.
No, please.
I'm used to doing all the thing myself. My beautiful bride, my Sage Robbins, everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Blessings to you. And it's just, we've never done a format like this. And it's this particular event and actual, when we filmed I'm Not Your Guru, was just so dear to us. And we had the privilege to partner with Joe Berlinger. Joe, we're looking forward to you joining us today. And it's just a real treat. This is like a fireside chat. We've never had this setting. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for your willingness. Thank you for your heart and love. I can't remember how many countries, 158?
158 countries.
158. We're really deeply touched. So thank you. We look forward to just serving you.
We really didn't want to, I didn't want to make this documentary before I introduced this gentleman, who's just an extraordinary human being. And my wife didn't really want to make it either, because it's such a private environment, Date with Destiny. We're used to doing big stadiums of people. And then, Date with Destiny, we keep to just 5,000 people, which may not sound big to you, but compared to 15,000, it's quite intimate. And the idea that we're going to bring cameras in there was like, I don't know about this. And Sage was not really for it either. In fact, I remember this man, Joe Berlinger, you're about to meet, I invited him to come to a seminar originally. I met him. I just felt struck by what an incredible human being he is. I had seen one of his documentaries, which was the one on Metallica. And believe it or not, it gave you insight. It was like a psychological film, and it was all just real and real time. It was just gorgeous. It was raw. It was real. You got to see these men as human beings. You got to see their upsides, their downsides, and I was just touched by it. So when I met him in person, this is a guy that has made films that has saved people's lives. He made a series of films, documentaries, about people that were locked up in jail for murder, and they were innocent. And he actually, after more than a decade, got them out. And I thought, a man of this caliber, and when I met him, I'll be honest, I didn't feel like he was as happy as I wanted him to be for his life, because he's such a good soul. So we made this connection, and I invited him to Date with Destiny as my guest. And he hesitated a little bit, but I'll let him tell you the story. But I'm grateful for him, because if it wasn't him, my wife never would agree to it, nor I. It still took 2 years of him chasing us afterwards, but I'll let him share with you. The man I'm about to share with you, he is the producer of this film. He's a director, writer. He's an award-winning filmmaker. He has Academy Award nominee. He's 3-time Emmy Award winner. He's had 8 nominations. He's got a Peabody winner. He's got 3 Critics' Choice Award winning times. He's got 3 times Director of the Guild Award winners. He's 8 films that premiered at the Sundance. And as I said, he's saved lives. He's a beautiful soul. Please welcome Joe Berlinger, please.
Well, great to see you guys. I wish we were in person together.
Me too.
But it's really such an honor. Boy, I wish all my films had this kind of resonance and celebration and love from its subjects 5 years later. This is great.
Well, we both certainly heard some great things over the years from people that have watched the film. Tell the story to everybody about how this came about, because most people have no clue.
You were kind of hinting at it. We met socially, and I think you kind of saw something, that I wasn't happy. You were hinting at it, and you invited me to come. I didn't even know you did these events. So you invited me to come. You invited me to come to this event, which at the time was in Palm Springs, California. And I'm a workaholic. I never take a vacation. As you know, I'm a bit of a workaholic.
Yes, you are.
I don't take vacations. At the time, I considered myself this tough New York skeptical journalist. I still am. The idea of self-help, which is at the time what I thought. I know you don't like that word, but at the time, to me, I just lumped it into self-help and seminar, and I'm a very private person. The whole idea of sharing my feelings with other people, to me, it was like, why? I don't know why I'm accepting this invitation, but you were so kind to offer it to me that I just went. And while I'm getting on the airplane at JFK and flying to LA and renting my car and driving into the desert, I'm thinking to myself, why am I going to this thing? And then I get there and I'm given the VIP treatment, which I wasn't expecting. So Sarah Fosmo with her clipboard sat me in a very front row seat, and I'm very visible, and I'm thinking, oh, I guess I really have to do this. And and then the first 2 hours happen, and honestly, I was like, this is not for me. The dancing, the sharing of feelings, I was like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And you hadn't even hit the stage yet. And so at the first break, I ran to the exits, called my wife, Lauren, who's, by the way, in the audience and sends her love.
Oh, hi, Lauren. Nice to see you. I hear you.
Thanks for joining.
And so I called my wife and I said, oh my God, I don't know if I can spend another 20 minutes during this, let alone 6 days. What do I do? And my wife said, you took the time out, give it a chance. And then quickly, all of a sudden I realized, because we went through that one exercise you do, which you see in the film, where you take you back to your earliest childhood memory.
Yeah.
And I won't explain the whole thing, but basically, by remembering something that's been repressed about that memory, it's a key to healing. And in front of 2,500 people, I closed my eyes and I decided to participate. And when I opened my eyes, I was flooded in tears. And I'm a guy who hasn't cried at that point in a really long time. And I just felt lighter in the moment. And I thought, oh my God, if this could make me feel this way even for a minute, I should give it its due. And I realized at that moment that I was because of my insecurity at the time, I was being very judgmental about the event and putting up a wall. And at that moment I said, you know what, I am going to play full out, a term I learned that day. And I ended up having the most incredible life transformational experience. And I wasn't there to sell you a film. We met socially. You were kind enough to invite me. And by the end of it, I was so blown away and had such a transformational experience, because I was, not to bore people to death, but I was going through a very difficult time at that moment. And you keyed in on that and gave me this invitation. And that's what pulled me to go. I did, it's not something I would normally do, but it literally, and I'm so glad I did, because it literally transformed my life as a human being. And then watching the event, I just felt it was highly cinematic. And because it had such a deep impact on me when I wasn't planning on, entering this kind of a thing, and because it was so cinematic, as you hinted, I chased you guys for 2 years because I just thought it would be an amazing film. And I decided, and what I pitched you was the approach of, not really dissecting it, just dropping you into the event and treating it like a rock and roll film, in the sense of just giving you an experience. I called it a concert of human emotion.
Yeah.
And so I chased you for 2 years because I really felt that the event captured on film would help other people. And I also thought that the interventions that you do were so not only incredibly impactful, but just very cinematic. So I just believed in my soul that I have to make a film about this. Some people may think that, like, you hired me to make a film, or this is a completely independent film that I chased you until you would say yes. And luckily you did. I don't know if you remember, there were 2 stumbling blocks for you. The reason you kept saying no is that you didn't want the cameras to interfere with the experience of the viewer.
Yeah.
And you were also very concerned that, how do you take a 72-hour content-rich event, boil it down to 2 hours without trivializing it?
Yeah.
And so I worked on you for 2 years. I sent you some of my other films, and I said, look, you're trusting the filmmaker to take any, Paradise Lost, the films about those innocent guys. The murder trials were 6 weeks long, but you're only seeing about an hour of the murder trial in the film. Yeah. So like anything, you're trusting a filmmaker to condense time, but give you the emotional truth of a situation.
Yeah.
So you got over that hump. but you were still concerned about, the cameras interfering.
Yeah.
So I made a deal with you. I said, look, the moment you think the cameras are in the way, just throw me out and we're done. And you said you're willing to take that risk. I said, yes, I'm going to come with my crew. Let me cover it. And the minute you think this is a problem, you can shut the production down and get rid of me. So I was under that pressure while we were shooting, but that's how the whole thing. That's how this all happened. And Sage, somehow you eventually trusted me, but initially I think you were very protective of Tony.
I absolutely was.
That was a gutsy move. I have to thank you so much because so many lives have been touched because of your courage and commitment and drive and persistence. But why don't you share what you felt? Because I remember when I was talking to him, finally, when you said that, I was like, okay, if I know for sure that people in the seminar are not going to be disrupted because they didn't come first, and you're willing to take that kind of risk, I'm willing to do it. But Sage still wasn't ready for it.
Well, I wasn't quite ready for a film crew in our home because our life is really full. And pre-Date with Destiny, my mommy and daddy normally come down. And so I think, Joe, you said that there would be 2 film crew at our house on day 1. And that morning there was like maybe 10 or 11 people. But what I didn't expect was that we would all fall in love, Joe. And you have such a beautiful heart and a brilliant mind. And it was such a privilege because Date with Destiny is just such a impactful and transformative program. And to have, I believe it's what this man was born on this earth to do. And to have a glimpse in, and I love what you said, to capture the truth of the experience, the emotional tone and the transformation of these people. You portrayed such a beautiful narrative of these individuals' lives and their transformation. And we became such dear friends. So I'm so grateful. Thank you. I'm sorry for my stubbornness or my fear. And I got over it.
It kept me on my toes, but it created this tension because to do what I have to do, I have to push and I have to get access and I have to capture stuff.
Yes.
And on the other hand, I promised not to interfere with the event. But you guys were great, and everyone just did what they were supposed to do. But like one of my favorite moments in the film, for example, is after Dawn's transformation, I wanted to get back to see you, Tony, because you were in tears, and your security people and your team were protecting you and didn't want me to go back into that room. And I just said, look, I got to do it. That was the one point where I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to get thrown out now. But I just felt I had to get to you. And that's that interview was raw and real and like really my favorite moment in the film. But so it was a little anyway, somehow it all worked out beautifully and we've become dear friends. And I love I hear all the time from people. I hear all the time from people how I was going through cancer and watching that film helped me. I was going through a divorce. I watched that film. It helped me. Just to have. It's your work, so but just to have a little participation in the mission that you have and what it's done for people has just been really such a special gift in my life. It really has been. I get tears remembering that moment right now. It's one of my special moments from that particular event. And Joe, to give you an idea, Joe, when people see me on stage, I can't, I show my emotion. But when people are hurting, I feel it, but I can't let myself feel it completely because then I couldn't help you. Then I'd be with you, right? I'll be so with you as a person. And so, it always happens to me after one of these breakthroughs. I might show some emotion, but then I go backstage and it's just, I have overwhelming emotion, tears, because it feels like grace, came through. It happens all the time. It happens every time, and I don't think I'm exaggerating in that an ounce. And I've been doing it for 33 years, 85 Date with Destinies now. This year will be 86, 34th year doing it, which is just amazing. And, the universe, God, as I see it, comes through you when you're really trying to serve and it's not about you. But I think a lot of people don't see that side of me. And Joe literally said, Tony Robbins said, this is my film and that I get to do it the way I want to do it. I get full access. That's our deal, right? And so he burst through the doors and he's filming while I'm sitting there crying. But it was really beautiful because so many people have been touched by that, Joe. So I appreciate your courage and your commitment, your persistence, and I'm grateful you've really helped us touch people in 197 countries around the world thanks to Netflix. I also want to thank Netflix.
Yes.
And Joe is now like the king of Netflix. He doesn't talk about it. He's so humble, but he's got all these shows that are just become your last show, the one you did on Monday. How many people watch?
They're all serial killer shows. And that was the other. And if people really know my resume, I usually deal with some dark subject matter, wrongful conviction, polluting corporations. I mean, this film has been, the other reason this film has been so special is like I'm always so mired in the dark. It's just so beautiful to have made a film that shines a light on something so positive and transformational. But yeah, no, I've been doing, true crime is very popular these days. So I've been doing a lot of true crime stuff, which I'm proud of. So Netflix is, an incredible, it's transformed the documentary business because it's made it, global, and they treat documentary as with the same respect as scripted content. I also did a scripted movie about Ted Bundy for Netflix on, called Extremely Wicked. With Zac Efron and Lily Collins. Yeah. When you look at most of my resume, people say, "Oh, you did the Tony Robbins film too? That's odd."
Well, your team was pretty skeptical when we started. Like your camera crew, it was really interesting to watch them. For me, what did you see over the couple of days? The first few days, they were very skeptical, and then you started to feel the shift. What did you see?
Yeah, like my longtime cameraman Bob Richmond. If I considered myself a skeptical New Yorker, Bob Richmond is like, makes me look like Mr. Positivity. And so he and the crew were like, "Oh, Joe, you sure about this? Oh, Joe." And by the end of it, actually, there are some dailies in our footage where you see the camera drifting down because we had 4 camera people. They're all so entranced that they're like leaning in to watch what you're doing during an intervention, and they had to quickly realize, "Oh no, I'm shooting." So by the end of it, everyone was in, and
that's
big fans.
Awesome. Every event, there's 2 or 3 experiences that stand out for me. They're all beautiful, that are so memorable. And how many of you watched I'm Not Your Guru? I'm just curious, how many took the time to watch it before you got here?
Great.
Wonderful. Well, then you'll appreciate this update. So there was a young woman there, Joe remembers vividly as Sage does and I do. Her name was Dawn, and she had been tied up in this group that really abused children. It was a religious group, and it was a cult. And she stood up, and we have a night at Date with Destiny. There's an evening part I call Suicide Night, which sounds bizarre, and we do a big celebration because in any room of 5,000 people, or even this back in those days, I think it was about 2,200, 2,500, there's at least a dozen people who are suicidal, sometimes 2 dozen. And so I read people's forms. Before people come to Date with Destiny, we have you fill out forms. It's different than anything else. I read them all. It takes literally weeks to get through it all. And of course, some people turn in the night before, so I'm up all night usually reading those too. And it's about 15 pages of questions. And like some people are like, if I knew the answer to these questions, I wouldn't need Date with Destiny, But I read them so I have a deep understanding. I won't remember everybody's name. I won't remember everything, but the patterns are in me. So when people stand up, I know what many people have done, and I try to use every intervention to hit as many people as possible. This was one I was not prepared for, and that was this woman, Dawn. And John, let me give you an update on Dawn.
My name is Dawn Watson. I attended Date with Destiny in 2014. You might know me from the documentary I'm Not Your Guru. One of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. Since, everything that happened at Date with Destiny and coming back home and really working, doing the internal work that's needed, I created my method based on everything that I lived, everything that I went through, and everything that also I learned with Tony, and blending those two in a way of helping people understand that the only way to go through pain is to navigate through it. Just go right through it and face it head on, and really permit pain to show you, to teach you, to transform you.
I want to help people that have gone out through that and have pain.
My life changed so much in so many ways, and I'm so proud of myself because it was so much work, and it is so much work, but today I see life with completely different eyes. I have an incredible person in my life where I get to share a beautiful relationship, and just being in that vulnerable, honest, and beautiful place with someone is so amazing. Being able to do the work that I do, I wake up every morning so happy to go and do my events and go and do my retreats where I help people, and also, lecture, do podcasts, share with the world my voice. Like that, really, there is nothing that makes me happier to live a life where I finally feel that I can be me, that I'm not hiding, that I'm not trying to cover up something because someone is going to find out, or I don't feel like I'm living a life trying to hide, or if you could think it visually, like just naked, just raw, just real, just open. And there isn't a better way to live life than just in that raw and open way. So everything becomes just a beautiful experience. There are days that it's not easy. There are moments where I have to navigate through some really difficult frustrations and pain. But, pain is not something that is not in my life anymore. But today I learned how to navigate through that pain. I learned how to learn from that pain. And it really comes from a place of, wow, this is my cocoon. This is a moment of transformation. So let me just be okay. Let me embrace it. Let me be here, because I know it's going to pass and I'm going to be better after it,
Let's give it up for Dawn. She's joining us live. Give it up for Dawn. Dawn, nice to see you. I got to see you. It was a surprise. I was down in Brazil doing a talk. It was about 5,000 people, I think it was. And I'm walking through the aisles and I look up and I see this face. And I didn't even recognize you at first. Look how transformed you are. Tell us, listen,
Yes.
It's been 7 years almost this December. So 5 years for the film, but 7 years since that date. Tell us a little bit about your life. Give us an update.
Oh my gosh, Tony, just watching this and being here in this moment. And I feel like since that day when I remember that moment, and I remember the moment when I got back home and I had to really understand that internal work was going to have to happen in my life for me to truly do what I wanted to do, which was help other people and use that pain to help other people. And I feel like since that day, and I'm here like crying because it truly is so powerful, that when you navigate through your pain, when you permit pain to truly transform you, how you connect with people, how you're able to feel people, how people from all over the world have connected with me with their stories. And that I, through my own story and through my own journey, being able to support them and help them. And I will never forget the day that you said, Dawn, you're not going to be another me. You're going to be you. And that's more powerful because you use your story, use your power. Don't be a copy of me, be you. And being able to come back to me and use my power and through my story, be able to help other people. It's just been incredible.
I really want to honor you because I offered you that day to learn from Robbins Madonnas, to go through the program we do for therapists. So you'd have all the skills I have. And you did it, you completed it. And you're doing seminars. You wrote a book, right?
Yes, I wrote a book, My Journey Back Home. I'm doing online retreats and creating safe environments for people to truly come and work through their pain and work through their abuse in childhood, because there's so much pain in our childhood. And if we don't learn to use that pain to empower us, it's going to destroy us. And so it has just been incredible to be able to be doing what you did today and be able to know that that is what healing is. Healing is going through your process, and then healing is passing it forward. That is part of the project of healing. For me, helping people is part of my healing process. And I know for you too, that is, giving, you receive back, healing, you heal. So I'm so grateful.
You look younger now than 7 years ago, doesn't you, Joe? I mean, you look incredible. Like, you could just feel the radiance coming through you. Joe, do you have a question for Dawn, just out of curiosity?
We haven't talked since the movie. And I see how great you're doing. Like, what did you have ups and downs, or was it like a straight line, or how did you get to this place?
Yes, no way. There is definitely ups and downs. I went through a really emotional process coming back from Date with Destiny. I think something that's really interesting is sometimes when we leave a Tony Robbins event, we're like, Tony's going to come in this white horse and just save us. And that's not Tony's, purpose. And so, he creates the safe environment, but the work, the healing, you got to do in your day to day. And so when I finally understood that, I understood that healing is up and down. It is going through the ugliest parts of you, so that you can find out the prettiest, beautiful parts of you. And so I feel like that process until today, it's been so incredible. And then being able to be with so many different people that were at Date with Destiny, even my uncle, he's here. And
oh, he's here?
One of my events.
Joaquin is here?
Joaquin is here.
Hi, Tony.
Yeah.
The great uncle. If you didn't see the film, just so you have context, there was a moment where, really Dawn couldn't even imagine anybody loving her or trusting a man of any sort. And I said, look around this room, and it's all this beautiful people, men and women, just sending love into her. It was gorgeous. And I said, I want you to pick, 3 men who could be your great uncles that could be a source of support. And I interviewed all 3 of them. They all got chosen for different reasons by her. But Joaquin, you stood out, and I said, are you willing to commit to the next being there for her over the next 5, 10 years? Not every day, but be there. 7 years later, and here you are. Let's give a hand for Joaquin for that commitment alone. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't know each other. They never even met. And he stepped up for her. Joaquin, what have you seen in her over the last 7 years? What can you share?
Well, she's had her ups and downs. You can get a call 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's sort of going through one thing or the other. And then I see her she has such strength, such power. And we kept talking to each other. We kept in touch. And someday she called me and said, look, Joaquin, I'm doing this seminar in Brazil. I have the strength. I need to heal people. And I see you doing such terrific things. I mean, you make people walk on broken glasses, and you make them break the arrows with their throat. Is that real? I said, please don't do this in your home. Please don't do this. But I flew over to Brazil, and she did the healing part, and I did the high impact part.
Wow.
A way to make people release their feelings and their emotions, because I'm a business coach. So for me, it was quite hard to deal with Dawn. She's quick-minded. She's always thinking about things. And there we were, and it was fantastic. So right now I'm from Ecuador. I'm in Spain. I'm finishing writing a book. And I promised Dawn when I go back to Ecuador, I will fly again to Brazil, because it's so wonderful not only to see you, but to see how you deal with people who are going through difficult times. I had my share of that. And thanks to you, Tony and Sage, I've managed to overcome a lot of fears and difficult moments. And she has inspired me. It's beautiful to see you. And I'm part of the family. See, I like
Beautiful. Thank you, Joaquin.
Thank you. I love you. And one thing, remember, life isn't how you paint it. It's the way you color it. And she's done a terrific painting and love. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you. You're a stranger to her, and for 7 years, you've been a resource for her. That just says so much about you, but I'm also just so grateful you've continued to change your own life as well. Give Joaquin a big hand. Thank you, Joaquin. Don, one last question. At the time, you couldn't imagine being with a male or trusting a male, and I said, well, I'm one, right? But in an intimate relationship. But I've heard that you've taken that part of your life to a new level too. Tell us what's happened to you in terms of relationship.
Yes, and it's so beautiful, because I see that every time that you have the courage enough to navigate through some difficult pain, especially in your sexuality, so especially women that have gone through abuse, being able to open themselves up to men again and open themselves to them so that they can feel love and experience love. And my life truly has been so incredible after I decided that I was going to open up. And yes, it's going to be scary. And yes, I'm going to have to encounter a lot of things that are going to either scare me or I'm going to want to close up again. But the moment I said, yes, I'm in, I want to live this, I want to enjoy this, and just trust. Life has just been so beautiful, and be able to share my life with someone else and be able to be open to love and be able to completely heal that area of my life, and now be able to help other women heal their sexuality, heal the pain, and really transform it into something so beautiful and free. I consider myself today completely free.
We feel that.
In every area of my life, I completely feel that, and I'm able to share that now. So it really comes from having the courage to just say, I'm going to open up, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be magic, because healing isn't magic, but it's natural to our soul. Our soul wants to heal. So you've just open to it, it will happen.
Give it up for Dawn, everybody. Love to you, Dawn. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Joe Berlinger, everybody.
I just want to say one thing. At this point in my life, I've made probably 18 feature films about Metallica, Paul Simon, wrongful conviction, whatever, hundreds of hours of television. Truly the most impactful experience I've ever had was making I Am Not Your Guru, because it touched me personally and really transformed my life. So I thank you for that opportunity and the chance to in my own small way, help amplify the incredible work that you and Sage do has truly been the honor of my life. So let's do a sequel.
Okay. Love you, Joe. Thank you so much. We love you so much. Give it up for Joe Berlinger, the one and only. You know, the great experiences that comes out of Date with Destiny. And by the way, I hope you come. You know, we'd love to have you be there. It's one thing to watch for 2 hours, nothing to experience for 6 days and nights. And there's nothing like it. We only do it once a year. And the beautiful part now is you don't even have to come in person. And believe it or not, some people say, well, that really worked. We did it this last year. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, better than I thought it could work. Because also some people are more comfortable in their home. They're not surrounded by everybody. They feel a little bit more relaxed and so forth. But the greatest gift for me is not just saying people change. It's seeing people go home and keep that change and make that change benefit their family and their friends and their businesses and their clients and their customers. And so my whole thing is, you know, each one teach one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm here to help everyone I can, you know, try to take 44 years of my life experience. That's how long I've been doing this. I started when I was 3, of course, right? And compress that into a few days, like compress decades into days and save you as much pain as possible and help you achieve more, but also to be more fulfilled.
Yes.
Because people think that when everything goes a certain way, someday, someone, something, I'll accomplish something and then I'll be happy. And it's BS. It doesn't work that way. Unless you can find joy in whatever moment you're dealing with, including your challenging times, you're not going to have a sustainable quality of life. Certainly not extraordinary quality of life. It'll be a life, but it won't be the one that you desire and deserve. And so that's what our focus is here. And to see Dawn, you know, if you didn't see the film, she grew up in this cult, the Children of God, and they were taught that children were supposed to have sex with the adults. I mean, if you could imagine being put through that kind of experience, or one of her family members, you know, left this planet early as a result of trying to deal with that pain, to give you an idea. And to see her today, if you saw the film and you see her now, 7 years later, because that's one thing people go, well, does this really last? The answer is, you bet it does. And the reason it lasts is because you're making a change inside of you. You're shifting your perceptual tools, your beliefs and your values and your rules. And that changes everything. It's quite beautiful.
Yes, and I think what else is so beautiful, Joaquin and Dawn are a reflection of the community and the friendship that
Yes,
are really
that's
built.
true.
I mean, besides your own inner transformation, it's just finding like-minded individuals. The love that Dawn and that Joaquin shared and her other, like that team, there's just a collaboration and a rallying and a rallying of like true brotherhood and sisterhood. It is such a unique collective consciousness and family that's birthed through this process. It's really beautiful. Dawn, congratulations. Joaquin, it's wonderful to see you. God bless you guys.
That sense of, yes, give it up for him again one more time, please. That community of friends from all over the earth is another thing that no one expects that comes out of being here in this environment together. Because when you go through these kinds of intense experiences, it's just like it bonds us forever. Well, if you watched the film, at least recently, hopefully you watched it again, got to reconnect to it. Another great moment in that film were Tammy and Lance. And they were this couple where she got up, she gave her beautiful vision for the relationship, which was quite poetic and very diverse and very long. And then the camera turned to Lance, who was like deer in the headlights. Like, how do I top that? Lance, I'm with you, brother. I don't know how you could have topped it. I think if we have a quick little video to summarize you guys, then we'll bring you back on.
I was stoked for, you know, what she had written, because mine wasn't there. And I put my notebook down and I was trying to find her to like embrace her, and then boom, there was like, it all happened. It was everything. It was just the power of the whole experience, because you had all these people around. I'm getting called out on my shit and I don't even know what's going on, you know, at that moment, just like, whoa, and then he's in your face. And so the whole experience was like off the Richter scale. And definitely after that night, like connected on a different level, and have been ever since.
Well, I don't know if you remember from the documentary, but it was at the Tony Robbins event that I was like, I'm ready. And like, I'd been like, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And then at the event, I was like, I'm ready.
I have always been worried about bringing children into our relationship. And after last night, I feel pretty damn certain I'm ready for that.
It's awesome, ladies and gentlemen. That's awesome.
And And then we got pregnant right after that. So we have a 5-year-old son named Keenan, and he's the one that I claimed at the Date with Destiny, and I said, I want you to come in. And then we have a 3-year-old daughter named Ariella.
It's a constant battle, to keep on that line and passion, and then with the kids and everything else, and building the house we've been working on forever. And it's just, there's so much happening. The chaos is everywhere. And to try and keep our connection together, it's taken massive work.
No matter how crazy life is, no matter what is going on, like keeping our connection is just so important. We recently, just a few months ago, moved into these new offices. We're like in the heart of the island that we live on, and it's just so magical and so beautiful. Really feeling his vision was what I feel like really came to me at Date with Destiny, and now I'm seeing it manifested in our life, in our home, in our work environment, and just how we're creating our life, and it's just really beautiful.
Give it up for Lance and Tammy joining us live, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for them. Guys, I love seeing you got 2 children. I mean, that was one of the things you were struggling with at the time. Not just your relationship, but whether you were ready, where you're going to go for it. First of all, congratulations.
Yeah.
What's it like being parents?
It's amazing.
Unbelievable. I watch them go to sleep every night, and I'm just like, I wouldn't trade this for anything in the world.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't have happened unless you'd done the work you guys did on your relationship, and the difference that you created within yourself, Lance, in that moment when you roared. And anybody's seen the film, and I was telling him a metaphor, using some basic fundamental hypnotic patterns, because all the hypnotic pattern is you're no longer out there, you're inside yourself, and so you can rewire things. And while I'm telling the story, there's this moment where he remembered who he was. I was telling the story. What was that like for you internally? What did that moment mean to you? What did you feel?
It was a huge release. I can't even explain it. I think there's just so much packed inside, and it just felt like I cracked my shell, exploded, and ever since then, just been working more on myself, every moment. So.
Yes. Well, it certainly changed. What happened to you in that moment with your man when he came back over and you could feel that presence?
I mean, that's when I said I want to have children with this man. I just could feel him, and I knew that no matter what came at us, we would be okay, and that he was there. Like I could feel him. He was there, and we've been through, 2 Category 5 hurricanes. We've been displaced. We lost where we were living. We had a baby in the middle of that. We shut down our practice because we couldn't keep functioning, and we've been through a lot. And and I think that moment that happened, and the rest of the event is when I was like, I can do whatever with this man, and we have been through a lot since then, and I've felt him through it. He's been present.
Just 2 hurricanes and COVID, that's all you've been through? Rebuilding your home, having 2 children. When you said chaos, I think we have a better understanding of that. 2 children alone could create chaos, but all that. But isn't that the best testimony to both of your growth?
Yeah.
That all hell is broken loose, and you come closer and closer, and the things you're worried about being able to manage with kids, that's small compared to the external world, because you guys changed your internal world. I really honor you. Give them a hand for that right away, just to start with here. It's just amazing. I love seeing the emotion in both of you, especially you, Lance. Look at the emotion of this man. It's just gorgeous seeing you. It's 7 years since that. It was 5 years since the film, but 7 years since that time this December, so just a couple months off.
Yeah.
It's beautiful as well. You guys are such a reflection of the human experience, and just hearing all the painful times in your life, all the times of chaos, all the shifts of your practice and everything, and just seeing you guys live this, seeing you put these truths to work, seeing you using these tools. You guys look younger, you look more beautiful. Your children are so gorgeous. I mean, it's so freaking gorgeous through you, on you, as you. You can feel your isness together. Really, hats off to you both. You guys are gorgeous. It's a privilege. Thank you for joining us today. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful to see that you guys took that week, that moment, that intervention, and living that reality for your lives. And it's gorgeous to witness.
What advice would you give those listening, those watching around the world? There's people here from 158 countries right now, more than 100,000 plus people that might be struggling with issues with COVID, their practice being shut down, or a hurricane, or children. I mean, tell us from your own words, what would be your best advice for them to really ensure that no matter what happens in the outside world, they can really continue to grow deeper together?
I'll start.
Oh, I like that. That's a different pattern as well. Look at that. If you guys watched the film, it was the direct opposite pattern. She was running the show on everything. Okay, I'll start. All right, I like that.
Working hard to keep the love alive and the spark.
Yes.
And just trusting the process, and trusting your partner.
Yeah. Especially in the middle of tough times, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Tammy? What would be your advice?
I'm such a believer in what I hear you say all the time, and just heard you say again, which is life happens for you, not to you.
Yes.
And everything that I feel like has come our way, I'm like, all right, like we listen, you know, and we're like, well, what is this? Like, okay, we can't, you know, we're being displaced, we're moving, we're having a child in the middle of it. Like, we're closing our practice. We've actually reopened. And it's like more that I've ever wanted in practice of how we've been forced to recreate. And it's like everything does happen for us, you know, and just like staying in that energetic, staying in the knowingness of divinity and of being led and trusting and allowing life to unfold, and not spending time saying, you know, why is this happening? Or it could be different, but just really honoring whatever it is that's coming our way and trusting that it's for us.
That's beautiful. Give them a big hand. Love you guys. Congratulations on your children. Congratulations on your love. Love to you. Well, listen, I really just want to thank you for spending this time with us. I hope that watching this film, and I hope that just spending a little time together today, reminds you that we can all create a compelling future.
Yeah.
You know, I ask people all the time, you know, what do you think would be the best thing that could ever happen to you? And the number one answer I hear around the world, and there have been studies that do this as well, that's where I got it from, is people say to win the lottery. And then I say, what's the worst thing could ever happen to you? And you get all kinds of answers, but the number one answer is become a paraplegic. And so there have been studies on this. Studies to see 3 years after the event of either winning the lottery or being in a position where you lost the use of your limbs, who do you think is happier 3 years later? If drugs are not involved. If drugs are involved, it's off. But if the person doesn't do drugs, who do you think is happier at the end of 3 years? Someone who became a lottery winner, I mean hundreds of millions of dollars, or the person who is now a quadriplegic or paraplegic? If you wrote down the person who won the lottery, you're wrong. You know why? Because after 3 years, studies show they're both just as happy as they were before. If they're unhappy, they're still unhappy. If they're happy, they're happy. The person who won the lottery gets upset because everybody wants something from them, and it's no longer about their relationships. There's all kinds of studies showing that. And the person who's a paraplegic, if they can move a finger, all of a sudden there's this incredible appreciation for the littlest things in life. So thinking that when the world's no longer COVID or when things go back, everything will be okay, that's BS. If you really want things to be great, you got to master what's happening inside. That's what this event called Date with Destiny is about. It's 6 days. It's once a year. It's coming up in December, and we'd love to serve you if it makes sense. But if not, I hope today's inspired you.
We just wanted to thank you for your willingness and just your gorgeous spirits. You are all so lovely. And for the generosity of the people who shared today, our prayers that you were reminded and that you were called, and that through their sharing and through this entire afternoon that you've touched upon something more deeply inside yourselves, or remembered a truth inside yourself, that you feel more freedom, more openness, and that your soul obviously called you here to join this. It's just that hunger is what guides us this, and it's all led us to this moment. And we pray to see you at Date with Destiny. If that doesn't serve you, I know that our paths will cross. And thank you for your courageous hearts. We love you. God bless.
Hope to see you in December. Love to you all.